Right now, our app has all the functionality that it needs. It just doesn't look very pretty. So I'm going to be walking you through how to make those changes. So the first thing we're going to do is modify something called the styles file. And that's located in values, and then it's right here, this styles.xml. So I'm going to double click. Okay, now this is a file that you've never really touched before, and I'm not going to go into the details of exactly how this works. We've provided you with some code which will change your buttons to orange and also change your action bar to orange. And this code will do that because the styles file is responsible for controlling the basic default styles of your app. Whereas right now in our XML, if we wanted to change the color of a background, we would do it for each element. But if you do it in the styles file, it'll do it for the entire layout. Okay, so I'm going to paste the code that I gave you over. This color primary here is the color that the action bar will be. And this color button normal is the color that your buttons will be. Now, quick note, because of API updates, this color button normal tag will actually only work if you have API level 22 and above. So what this means is that if you have a newer phone, you will see the orange buttons, and you can check it out in the emulator. And if your phone's a little bit older, you'll still see gray buttons. Now, there are ways to get around this, but I don't want us to get too caught up in the weeds of how to color our buttons. Okay, let's go back to our activity-main.xml. Okay, cool. So we can see now that it actually updated to show that our buttons are orange and our action bar is also orange. Our status bar also became a light gray, which is due to us changing this parent attribute right here to appcompat.light instead of appcompat.dark. It gave us a light theming instead of a dark theming. Okay, let me go back to the XML. So the next thing on our list is to make a nice little divider bar right here. Okay, so if I click on this linear layout right here, we can see that it's sort of this view that lives here. If I scroll down a little bit, I'll see the other linear layout, when I click on it, is this linear layout right here. So if I wanted a bar in between the two, I would put it right here, after which the first linear layout closes and before the second linear layout opens. And because the parent of both of these two linear layouts is another linear layout, I'll scroll up to show you, this linear layout right here, which has an orientation of horizontal, when I put the bar right here, it's going to show this linear layout, then the bar, then this linear layout, all in a horizontal row. Okay, let me go down. If you just want to make a colored square, which is essentially what a line is that runs down the center here, we can use a view called, well, view. Okay, now just like other views, this view needs a width and a height. Now we want a thin line, so the width of this view should be 1 dp. This is what the thickness of the line is going to be. And what I want is for this line to be just as tall as all the text and the buttons in the linear layout for Team A and the linear layout for Team B. So I'm going to make the height match parent. Now this view is basically a box that has 1 dp in width and has the height of the parent linear layout of all of this. But we can't see it because the background color is white. So I'm going to change the background color to dark gray. Okay, so now we have a dark gray line that's going down the center of the screen. But if we zoom in, we'll see that it's actually going down the entire center of the screen, even through the reset button, and we actually want it to stop right about here. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to start telling things to wrap content instead of match parent. Specifically, for the Team A and Team B linear layouts, instead of having their height be the entire screen, we're going to have it wrap content for both of these, so that the layouts will end right at the bottom of the buttons. And then for the parent layout, the horizontal layout that's laying out all of this, we'll also tell it to wrap content, which will wrap the content up tight against the bottom of the Team B and Team A linear layouts. And that should make the line the same height as both of these layouts. So let's make those changes. I'll start with this linear layout right here, which is the linear layout for Team B, and I'm going to change its height to wrap content. Okay, good. It's wrapping the content of the buttons right now. I'm going to click on the Team A layout, and I'm also going to change its layout height instead of match parent to wrap content. So now both of these layouts here are wrapping the content of their children. But the line down the middle is still extending towards the bottom, and that's because the parent of these two linear layouts is still taking up all this space because it has a height of match parent, which is the entire screen. So now I'm going to tell this as well to wrap content. So now the gray line ends here at the bottom of both of these linear layouts. Okay, cool. Now I didn't want the gray line to extend all the way up here, but that's an issue that can be resolved with padding and layout margin, so we'll do that in a little bit. Right now what I want to do is go through and get all the appropriate text sizes, colors, and the correct fonts. So we're going to just start at the top and make those changes. What I've been told for this first text view is that it's going to have a font family of sans serif medium. And it's going to have a text size of 14 SP. And finally, also, that its text color is going to be the hex code 616161, which is a nice light gray text color. Okay, so that's the font, the size, and the color for this Team A text view. I'm going to move on to the Team A score. Now for the score, the font family is going to be sans serif light. The text size is going to be a large 56 SP, so that our score is nice and big. And the text color is actually going to be black, which in hex is represented as 000000. Okay, cool. I'm going to zoom out. So for our buttons, we actually don't change anything about the text styling or text size or text color. These are fine. But I do want to change the other side, and I change it exactly as I changed the first side. So let me do that really quickly. Okay, so I just updated so that these two are exactly the same now. And our text sizes, colors, and font families are looking pretty good. So really the only thing left is to work on the spacing issues that I'm seeing. Okay, we'll start with the first text view here. Instead of a padding of 4 dp, we're going to change it to a padding of 16 dp. Now here in the score text view, instead of a padding of 4 dp, we're going to change it to a padding bottom of 24 dp. And that's because with the 16 dp padding here, we already have enough room between these two lines of text. Okay, now for the buttons. Now, our buttons are looking a little bit wide. I don't want to give them a specific width, but I do want them to be a little bit farther away from the edges. Now, we can't use padding, because remember, padding is space added inside the view, and button views have a background color that extends throughout the view. So we're going to be using margin here. Now, right now I have a layout margin of 8, but what I'm going to do is change this to a layout margin bottom of 8, and then a margin left and right of 24, which will keep the same spacing vertically, but will push in the sides of the button. So let's do that now. Okay, so that button's looking a little bit better. I'm going to do the same thing to the other two buttons here. And I'm actually copying and pasting to do this. Alright, cool. Now, I don't want to bore you, so I'm just going to make the same changes to this side that I just made to Team A. So give me 1 second. Okay, great. Now my two sides look the same. The only other real margin that I have to deal with is the margin for this gray line here and the margin for the reset button. Let's do the reset button first. Okay, so I'm going to give the reset button a bottom margin of 8 dp, and I'm going to give it a left and right margin of 22 dp. Okay, now I'm going to scroll up to the gray line. Okay, that's this view right here. And basically, I don't want the gray line to be touching the app bar right here. I want to give it a little bit of space. And I'm going to be using margin instead of padding for the same reasons that I did on the button, because this has a gray background, so any padding that I use actually is not going to really change anything. But margin, which is space around the view, will. So let's do that right now. Margin top, and we'll do 16 dp. Yeah, there we go. There's a little space above the gray line there. Okay, now my code's looking a little bit sloppy because I was just kind of adding attributes willy-nilly. So I'm going to do a Command A, or if you're on a Windows device, a Control A to select all. And then I'm going to do a Command Option L. And if you're on a Windows device, that's a Control Alt L. And that will automatically reformat the code for me to look really nice and pretty, just as pretty as our new Quark Counter app. Now, I kind of want to see this on my phone, so I'm going to load up my phone right now with this newly skinned app. Remember, if you have an older phone, it's going to show the buttons as a different color, but you can always use the emulator. Woohoo! What a stylish looking app. Now the question is it still working? Well, I didn't touch any of the Java code, so yeah. And the scores are nice and big now, and I got these wonderful colors for my buttons. Awesome work.